So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Carleen McDonough, your chairman, and it is my distinct pleasure to warmly welcome you to the third annual general meeting of IPCL as a publicly traded company. Doesn't it seem like just yesterday that we were gathered in this very spot for our first AGM? And I am so happy to see a lot of familiar faces, and I look forward to meeting any new shareholders joining us today. As has become customary, the meeting is being held in a mixed format, and we acknowledge and welcome our shareholders and stakeholders joining us virtually this morning. A special welcome to the representatives of HLB Mayor Russell, our auditors, KPMG, our registrar, M Squared, our communication consultants, members of the press present, and all other guests. We are fortunate, as always, to have with us a dedicated, hardworking crew of team members who do the heavy lifting in pulling these meetings together. We acknowledge and appreciate our marketing and administrative teams. This morning, we will be discussing the company's performance for the financial year March 2024 to February 2025, and providing important updates under the guidance of our very capable and unflappable CEO, Mrs. Anderson. And of course, we'll be voting on important resolutions. As we embark on the business ahead, I'm going to invite Dr. Stephen Lewis, who is also our Deputy Chairman, to lead us in prayer as we seek the Lord's presence and ask for his guidance and continued blessings.
Okay, thank you, Dr. McDonough. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can I ask those of us who are here in person, as well as those online, to stand if you're able to, as we share a word of prayer. So God's word in 1 Thessalonians 5, verses 16 to 18 says, "Rejoice always, pray continually, and give thanks in all circumstances." Three simple commands: rejoice, pray, and give thanks. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, blessed is your holy name. You are the Alpha and the Omega, the creator of all good things and the giver of all good gifts. Father, in our busy lives, due to pressures and demands of the world around us, we sometimes forget to stop and recognize you for who you are and the importance in our lives, our good God, our source for everything. Today, as we begin our AGM, we want to publicly thank you, God, for your presence, your protection, your provision, your faithfulness, and your continued care and concern for us as a company, as a family, and as individuals. Lord, you are faithful from the very beginning when you gave the vision of the company to our founding directors, give them strength and perseverance to see through the teething pains. You are present through the many years, through the good years, the not so good years, and the excellent years. You are with us through highs and lows. You are always with us. You have continually provided us with the right people at the right time to help us to grow as a company from strength to strength, always aligned to your purpose. You have provided us with growth, opportunities, and the wisdom to recognize and to seize them at the right time. We pray for your continued guidance and strength going forward as we make decisions concerning this company's future path in providing the medical fraternity and the people of Jamaica with compassionate, accurate, efficient, and timely diagnostic imaging services. We rejoice, we pray, we give thanks. Father, as we turn this time and this space over to you, we ask that you align our minds, our will, and our purpose to yours. We pray for knowledge, for wisdom, for discernment, as well as healthy and enlightening discussions. We pray for a smooth and vibrant meeting with no technical or other issues. We pray that everyone will leave here satisfied and content. Father, we rejoice and give you thanks in advance for a successful meeting. All these things we pray in Jesus' mighty name, and God's people said, Amen. Thank you.
And amen again. Thank you, Stephen. Let me now introduce the other members of the board present. From my left are Mr. Carl Townsend, our company secretary. Beside Dr. Lewis, we have Ms. Carolyn DaCosta. Then we have Dr. Ann Bridgewater. And beside her, Mrs. Keisha Anderson, our CEO, and Dr. Marion Allison Vaughan. I must also extend at this time apologies on behalf of Dr. Gordon Bradshaw and Dr. Jacqueline Leckie, who are both traveling and unable to join us this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, Director Townsend will now confirm that there is a quorum for this morning's AGM and read the notice convening the meeting. The notice can be found on page 1 of the annual report that has been circulated and also on the company's website. Carl?
Thank you, Chair. I do confirm that we have a quorum, and I'll proceed to read the notice of the annual general meeting. Notice is hereby given that the annual general meeting of Image Plus Consultants Limited, the company, will be held on Wednesday, July 16, 2025 at 10 a.m. Jamaica time in a hybrid format, one at the Terra Hotel, Venetian room, located at 17 Waterloo Road, Kingston 10, Jamaica, for attendance in person, and 2, via electronic means. The meeting is being held under the provisions of the Companies Act of Jamaica 2004 as amended to consider and if thought fit to pass the following ordinary resolutions. Resolution 1, to receive the reports of the directors and auditors and the audited accounts for the 12 months ended February 28, 2025, that the audited accounts and the reports of the directors and auditors for the year ended February 28, 2025, circulated with the notice convening the meeting be and are hereby adopted. Resolution 2, to reappoint directors retiring by rotation pursuant to Article 105. The directors retiring from office by rotation pursuant to Article 105 of the company's Articles of Incorporation are directors Ms. Carolyn DaCosta, Mrs. Keisha Anderson, and Mr. Carl Townsend, who, being eligible, offer themselves for re-election. A, that Ms. Carolyn DaCosta, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. B, that Mrs. Keisha Anderson, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. C, that Mr. Carl Townsend, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Resolution 3, to appoint auditors and authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. That HLB Mayor Russell, Chartered Accountants, having agreed to continue in office as auditors, be and are hereby reappointed auditors of the company to hold office until the next annual general meeting at a remuneration to be fixed by the directors of the company. Resolution 4, to approve directors' remuneration. That the amount included in the audited accounts of the company for the year ended February 28, 2025, as remuneration for their services as directors be and is hereby approved. Dated this, the 14th day of June, 2025, by order of the board, yours truly, Company Secretary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Now our marketing manager, Ms. Kerry McDonough, will now take us through the protocols for shareholders to vote on the resolutions and for all present to participate in the discussions. Please follow along as they are projected on the screen. Carrie?
Good morning. As we proceed, we ask that you bear in mind the following. The meeting is being recorded and shared live. We have muted participants' microphones to reduce noise disruptions. For the question and answer section, questions will be taken physically and electronically periodically due to the meeting being held in a hybrid format. We will take 2 questions from each shareholder to give everyone the opportunity to voice their concerns, but each shareholder may return at any time with additional questions. We will first take questions online and then take questions in the room afterwards. For shareholders who may have additional questions, you may email them to shareholder@apex-radiology.com. How to move or second a motion. To move or second a motion, simply select the Move or Second button located under the Votes tab to the right of the screen. How to vote. Select the Votes tab to the right of the screen and then select the resolution you are voting for. Click the Vote button and select For or Against option. It will then ask you if you are sure. Submit your vote once you are certain. Questions and answers. How to ask questions. For persons present in the room, please move to the microphone as indicated. Click the Q&A icon located to the right of your screen. Enter your question and comments into the text box to the lower right, and after typing your question or comment, click the send buttons located to the right of the text box. If during the meeting any attendee has any electronic difficulties which affects the attendee's ability to A, participate in the meeting, B, identify other attendees, or C, to be identified by other attendees, you may send an email to shareholder@apex-radiology.com to communicate your issue. The issue will then be reported to the chairman or the company secretary. The notice calling the annual general meeting was posted on the Jamaica Stock Exchange website on June 25, 2025, and a physical letter was mailed to all shareholders to inform everyone of same. In the notice, shareholders were advised that voting by shareholders at this AGM will be facilitated electronically and in person by a raise of hand. The resolutions to be voted on in this meeting are ordinary resolutions requiring a simple majority vote to be passed. Here are the instructions on how to vote on the platform. Results of all votes cast by shareholders present or represented by proxy will be tallied and shared with the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. I now invite Mr. Sixto Coy, partner from HLB Mayor Russell, to join us on the platform to present the auditor's report. For easy reference, the report can be found on pages 73 to 75 of the annual report.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, shareholders, directors. Independent auditor's report, as indicated, is located at page 73 of the annual report. Independent auditor's report to the members of Image Plus Consultants Limited. Report on the audit of the financial statements. Our opinion. We have audited the financial statements of Image Plus Consultants Limited, the company, which comprise a statement of financial position as at February 28, 2025, statement of profit or loss, and other comprehensive income statement of changes in equity and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statements, including material accounting policy information. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at February 28, 2025, and of its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards and the requirements of the Jamaican Companies Act. The basis for our opinion: we conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing, which is ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statement section of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board of Accountants Code of Ethics of Professional Accountants, which is the IESBA code, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the IESBA code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were most significant in our audit of the financial statements for the current period. The matter was addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole and informing our opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on this matter. We have determined that there are no key audit matters to communicate in our report. Other information: management is responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the annual report, but does not include the financial statements and our auditor's report thereon, which is expected to be made available to us after the date of the auditor's report. Our opinion on the financial statements does not cover other information, and we will not express any form of assurance or conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read the information identified above when it becomes available, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements or our knowledge obtained in the audit or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. When we read the annual report, if we conclude that there is material misstatement therein, we are required to communicate the matter to those charged with governance. Responsibility of management and those charged with governance for the financial statements. Management is responsible for the preparation of the financial statements that give a true and fair view in accordance with IFRS and the Jamaican Companies Act, and for such internal control as management determine is necessary to enable the preparation of the financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, management is responsible for assessing the company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting unless management either intends to liquidate the company or cease operations or has no realistic alternative but to do so. Those charged with governance are responsible for overseeing the company's financial reporting process. Auditor's responsibility for the audit of the financial statements. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAs will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in the aggregate they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of an audit in accordance with ISAs, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatements of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentations, or the override of internal control. Obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the company's internal control. Evaluate the appropriateness of the accounting policy used and the reasonableness of the accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management. Conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention to our auditor's report, to the related disclosures in the financial statements, or, if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of the auditor's report. However, future events and conditions may cause the company to cease to continue as a going concern. Evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that presents a true and fair view. We communicate with those charged with governance regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identified during our audit. We also provide those charged with governance with a statement that we have complied with all relevant ethical requirements regarding independence and communicate with them all relationships and other matters that may reasonably be thought to bear on our independence and, where applicable, related safeguards. From the matters communicated with those charged with governance, we determined those matters that were of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period and are therefore the key audit matters. We describe the matter in our auditor's report unless law or regulation preclude public disclosure about the matter when, in extremely rare circumstances, we determine that a matter should not be communicated in our report because of adverse consequences of doing so would reasonably be expected to outweigh public interest benefits of other communication. Report on additional matters as required by the Jamaican Companies Act. We have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purposes of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been maintained so far as appears from our examination of those records, and the financial statements which are in agreement therewith give the information required by the Jamaican Companies Act in the manner required. Engagement partner on the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is myself, Sixto Coy, signed HLB May Russell, Chartered Accountants, April 29th, 2025. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coy. So shareholders, I am sure everyone is eagerly anticipating Mrs. Anderson's presentation as she takes us through the company's experiences during a tough year. I'm confident that, as she always does, she will help to deepen our understanding of all the factors at play and the paths taken to reach the solutions that demonstrate our resilience. I'm happy to pass the floor to Mrs. Keisha Anderson, our CEO, who will provide a summary of the financial year ending February 2025.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Doc says I will answer the questions, but last night they told me not to talk too long. So she's giving me mixed signals. Thank you for coming. It is actually my greatest pleasure to stand here and share about our performance last year and give you some commentary about the future and how we see it. And I do so on the backs of about 90-something persons between our team members and our reporting radiologists. And I'm happy to see today some of our team members, our shareholders here in person, online, and some of our support partners who are also shareholders. So let me begin. So in life, I believe that you have to always start with purpose, because if you don't start with purpose, when things get challenging, then it can throw you off kilter. So we thought it important just to sum up the sentiments of our mission and vision statement by saying who we are, and what we are about is the business of championing care, healthcare. Which means that we have to have a high degree of customer empathy, and our customers here would be our patients and their referring physicians. Active corporate governance, even before going public, just to ensure the company is appropriately run. But now that we have taken shareholders' money, to ensure that we're doing everything that we're supposed to do and acting prudently in the shareholders' best interests. And then, of course, I think what all our shareholders want to see is returns, and I'm sure that is something that you're paying keen attention to, because you want to know how your investment over time is going to pay returns to you. And because the essence of what we are is a diagnostic imaging company, then we must maintain our standards for excellence in diagnostic imaging, reporting, and our operations. So this gives us a purpose that we can always focus on who we are, even in our challenges. All right, I wanted to start by just giving you a quick snapshot of our years so far. So in the top row, between 1996 and 2019, I think we would call that the years of building from foundation and building our business. The second rows between 2021 and 2023, I think were years of very, very active growth. We had rapid growth in terms of our number of scans, revenue. We had some location growth as we moved our OTRS location to a larger brand space footprint to be able to accommodate all the modalities and our patients comfortably. And then I would say from 2024 to 2026 and beyond is now a period of very deliberate strategic growth. So you see, we would have added some new modalities. We're working on our service standards and to look at our efficiency in operations. So our growth now and in the years ahead will be very, very deliberate. If we look at our revenue snapshot, which would be in your annual report, and I'm going to speak now between pages 41 and 46 to the MD&A. If we look at the revenue growth over the last 5 years, I like to break it up in bands. So 21 to 22 would be right after COVID, and as we were starting, Jamaica was settling down, and we were gaining a steady increase in the number of scans. In 2019, we would have signed as a supplier or provider of services for the Ministry of Health, and so we would have gotten some more natural increase in scan volume for that. What really caused the big jump between 22 and 23, however, would have been the fact that we had machine stability. We had replaced a CT unit at our Winchester location, and then as one of the providers under the program, we would have had the benefit of getting more and more referrals as our support was well recognized by the hospital teams, the quickness in which we would turn around our reports for emergency cases, and of course the quality of our reporting. That's something that is consistent, remains consistent, and on which we pride ourselves greatly. In 23 to 25, we would say that 23 was the first year that we passed the $1 billion mark, and it would have been driven, again, largely by having that MOH partnership agreement, as well as the fact that by having OTRS fully up and running, we would have seen more volumes coming to us for patients that side of the island. In 2025, though still above the billion, we will see that we dipped a little bit in revenue, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. So though exceeding, as I said, 1 billion, we realized that our revenue number for the year would have gone down. We delivered revenue of 1.08, which was 9.6, let's call that 10% less than the prior year, and I'm going to get a little bit more into that in a minute. The other major things I'd say that we want to highlight for 2025, though, are that we had some equipment downtime. I would have explained on several platforms, and I'm sure you'd have seen newspaper articles about that, and that would have really impacted our Q2 and Q3 revenue to the extent that in one quarter we actually made a loss. The net profit, though, at the end of the year, despite all these challenges which are customary of our industry, but not something that we want to see as a norm, we did deliver net profit of 43.9 million. We know that in the year, the 129 Pro location was actually closed because we decided not to spend any more cash on a machine, the CT machine that we thought was at the best end of life for us. And so we closed and consolidated our operations at our Winchester location. And we decided that we are going to repurpose 129 Pro for nuclear medicine. And I'll speak about that in a minute as well. MRI that was launched in the end of the year before would have been fully up and running now for financial year 2025, and mammography numbers would have ramped up somewhat over our two locations where they exist. It's important just to round it out to let you know that we actually monitor the performance of our team members, and their average score is 82.4% in terms of their annual appraisals that we do. We also want to highlight that we do focus on our environmental initiatives, so we ensure that we have proper disposal of our medical waste, and that we use digital as far as possible. We have a smart HVAC system, and we do LED lighting. We have not yet moved to solar. That's something that we would have to consider. And then we also, importantly, comply with the laws of the land and our active corporate governance. We would have registered our data control and started implementing the steps that we were towards complying with the Data Protection and Privacy Act that was passed. So the summary of what happened, those are the activities. What happened was revenue of 1.08 billion, gross profit of just over 712 million, profit before tax of 43.9%, which would be down 80.4%, scan counts of 43,460 about, which would have been down 10% or 6,000 scans over the prior year, and our earnings per share fell to 0.04%. So what drives everything that we do in terms of revenue would be our scan counts. I thought it instructive just to spend a minute and talk to you about what happened there. So mammos and MRI, the two new modalities which we will be monitoring and paying attention to, they delivered 5,045 scans, or 9.4% of our revenue. And this is, I think, when you look at the diversification of modalities, this is something that ensures that IPCL continues to deliver profitability, because we went into new modalities so that when there are challenges with one, then the other will kick in, as we see here. With CT being down, if we didn't have mammo and MRI, we would have lost about $140 million in revenue, so the performance would have been 140 million less. So even though we're going through the pains now of the impact of depreciation buying the new machines, etc., we do see that for modality diversification, future revenues is an important thing that took place. It also shows that we grew 3,222 scans over the prior year when we just launched by delivering the 5,045 in these new modalities. Nuclear medicine, and I'm going to talk about it in the way forward, we stopped offering in Q3, and again we decided that it was best to invest in a new unit, and a unit with more capability that would actually make a big difference to serving healthcare in Jamaica. And that is going to be, as we speak, it's being commissioned, it's installed, and we're doing what they call application training, where the specialists come from overseas just to ensure you're comfortable using the new unit. That's happening as we speak. Fluoroscopy has been stable. Our CT, we realized that the numbers were down year over year, because in Q2 would have been when we shuttered 129 Pro where that unit was, and decided that we were going to filter everybody to Winchester, extend our opening hours, and open on Sunday as needs be to try and catch some of the shortfall of closing 129 Pro. Ultrasound remains our modality that delivers the most number of scans, and it's pretty stable. X-ray had some reduction year over year. Of course, X-ray would be the modality that we earn the least margin on, but it also showed some decline year over year. So if you just think quickly, in 2024 we had 19 pieces of equipment up and running. In 2025 we had 17, because we took down one CT that wasn't functioning, and we took down the nuclear medicine unit that went down. What we see in terms of our KPIs, we see that our gross profit margin is pretty much stable. We see that our direct costs are being managed. we see higher admin costs, which is causing the orange line now, the admin expense ratio, to go up, which in this case, up is not in the right direction. And that's because we had higher costs of 46.4 million, really driven by salaries. The government of Jamaica had done a salary reclassification for the radiographer position, so of course we would have to follow suit to ensure that we retain our team members. And so in the year that just ended, we would have had the full impact of those salary adjustments. We saw increases to electricity and to insurance, and that is really related mostly to the new modality of MRI. And of course, depreciation and amortization went up by 44 million. All of that combined would have impacted the admin expense ratio going up. And finally, the net profit margin, therefore, based on all those other factors, would have gone down. As it relates to our average assets, return on average assets, in financial year 2024, we delivered 15.3%, 2025, 2.7%, because there was a reduction in net income, based on everything I explained prior, and a growth in the assets, because we would have acquired new equipment, and then, of course, we'd have the new property at 33 Lady Musgrave. And it's a similar story around our average equity, that there would have been a reduction given our reduction in net income. So that's the past. It's important to learn from it so we can know what we need to do going forward. But let me just take you a little bit into the future, which I believe is looking brighter already. So our results for the first quarter would have just come out last evening. I don't know if our shareholders would have gotten a chance to see it yet. And it shows that we delivered revenue for the quarter of 267.4 billion, which was down 9%. And you're going to say to me, Keisha, you just said the brighter future, but you said down. I'm going to tell you why I'm using the word down. Sorry, brighter future, even though we went down in a minute. We delivered gross profit of 173.6 million and profit before tax for the quarter of 13.7 million. Our scan count was down year over year by 909 scans, or 7%, and our earnings per share was at 0.01. So what happened in Q1, and where do we see it now? So Q1, we compare to our Q4 position. I'll tell you why I say that. In October, November of 2024, we would have seen newspaper articles about the Ministry of Health, particularly Southeast Regional Health Authority, ceasing referrals to external partners for a period of time and signaling that if a hospital has the equipment to do the modality, then it should be done on site. We would also have been paying attention to the quarterly reports that we would have put out indicating that we had high receivables coming from the Ministry of Health. So what would have happened is that towards the end of Q4, we would have seen less volumes coming from that and revenue coming from that source. We also, at different points, made decisions about, okay, how do we approach this one large referral partner, given the impact potentially on cash flow and also the using up the capacity of our system in a time when it could be otherwise guided. Now, we take our role in healthcare in Jamaica very seriously, and so we believe it's important to form the partnership. We also believe that at some point the system will settle. So if you think about it, the need hasn't gone away. People still need scans, right? Yes? People still need scans. So what is going to change, or is changing as we see it, is who is actually paying for those scans. So the program was very vital. It helped them to reduce bedtime in a hospital, faster diagnosis, faster treatment. However, the extent of the cost of the program, I think, what would be the issue. And of course, I'm speaking from my opinion. I don't work for the Ministry of Health in that strictest sense. And so it's almost some right sizing, as they would now have to determine how quickly they spend or how much they spend. So when Sarah stopped, what we saw happening was that the patients themselves would have to seek the services, and they'd come to us for the services. Of course, people would have to save up longer to pay. We also see when NERA stopped that in some cases, the hospitals themselves would have sponsored the actual patient coming. So what we see happening is a shift in who is actually paying for the scans, and we expect that to continue. Even though new contracts have been signed, so NERA has signed a new contract, and I should say what NERA is, Northeast Regional Health Authority, so those will be the hospitals like St. Anne's Bay and Otter Bay, Port Maria, etc. They would have signed a new contract with us, but they're being more prudent in how they spend and trying to screen the patients who need the full support. But what we see is that those patients then who are not getting access to the forms to get done sponsored, they are actually coming to get done themselves. So we see a shifting of who is actually paying for the scan. And I think in that process, the scan numbers would have gone down as persons now have to, I guess what it is now, repurpose their minds or think differently about how they're going to find the money to pay for their own scan. Importantly then, what we decided to do is focus on our referring physician relationships to ensure that we are top of mind as the doctors are referring, whether publicly or privately, to us, and that's an effort that we continue in earnest along with our marketing team members. So here's the hope part now, and I'm hoping that you can see it as well. It's a little bit tiny, but let me show you what it's saying, basically. So if we look at Q1 of 2025, we'll note that we did revenues of 184.8 million. But if we look at Q4, which is the last quarter of the financial year that ended, we did revenues of 245 million. So when you compare in the strictest sense this first quarter with that first quarter last year, we're down 293 to 267. But when you look at the shift that I explained is happening and look from Q4 to Q1 of this year, so that's a quarter right before the one that ended for us in May, and you look at the quarter right before that, you see that we would have had an increase, so 267 versus 245. So you see the revenue is starting to build back from the last point in the last financial year, and that's where we see the hope, because we now see that persons are readjusting and they're actually finding the income to pay for themselves. Because remember, the need has not gone away, right? The other thing that we want to point out is that this Q1 revenue of the 267 million would be now without our nuclear medicine services. And when I talk about it, you'll see the impact that that will have. And it would also be without referrals from the Northeastern Regional Authority, because those have just started back subsequent to our main numbers. Those contracts were signed in June. So we see that without nuclear, without significant referrals from Ministry of Health, we see our revenue going in the right direction, climbing from 245 in the prior quarter to 267 million. The other thing I wanted to point out is our direct costs, so that you can actually see that the direct costs in the prior year quarter stood at 108 million. You see the direct costs in this quarter down to 93.8 million. Now, some of that would be because we're paying less reading fees because there are less studies to read, but also we have, based on our approach to inventory management, have gotten much better at managing our costs for the growth in inventory items. Our admin expenses, if you look at it for the first quarter, the results that came out yesterday closed at 122.3 million, which is just growth of 2.2 million over the same quarter last year and over the last quarter. So we are managing our expenses well. And so you see our operating profit ending for the quarter that just ended at 23.6 million. If you compare that to the last quarter in the last financial year, it was 12.2 million. So you see the increase again going in the right direction, though it's less than the prior year quarter, which would have been March, April, May last year. The other thing I'd want to point out is that you see our finance costs. If you go down a little bit, that would be in the second set of numbers. The finance cost would have gone up to 10.5 million, and that would be the cost or the impact of now having the MRI and mammo units as compared to the 6.9 million in the prior year quarter that would have been last year this time, when it wouldn't have been as much because we didn't start yet paying back the loan on our MRI equipment. So the net profit ended this first quarter at 13.7 million as compared to 2.3 million for the quarter that ended right before and 31.6 million for the prior year quarter. So it's heading in the right direction, and that's why I'm speaking about the hope. You would also note that we actually took to income a realized fair value of 4.3 million for some equipment that was fully acquired by us from a 2011 transaction and has since been decommissioned. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the rest of the year now. So the trajectory is that we're heading back in the right direction. What is going to cause it to increase? So our nuclear medicine services, we actually have a backlog of patients. I didn't realize how important this service was until we didn't have the equipment. This is now bone scans, lung scans, radioiodine treatment, as isotope treatment of certain conditions. What else do you think I should say, Doc? That's mainly it? Right. And so what you find is, like, I can tell you a personal story of a friend whose mom had breast cancer, and after she did her mastectomy, they wanted to actually test to see if there was, I guess, any remaining spread or remaining cancer cells, and we didn't have the opportunity to do the scan because our machine was down, and they actually couldn't get the scan done anywhere in Jamaica. So it's really very important and a critical need that exists. So the machine is here, it's commissioned. As I said earlier, we're doing the testing, and we're actually starting to resume taking patients next week. And if you look at what we did in 2024, before the machine went down at the end of second quarter, we did 1,630 scans, or $83 million of revenue. So again, now that would have been revenue that we didn't have. So if you do roughly, it's about, you can say it's evenly spread throughout the year. So it's about 160 million of revenue that will now come back for a full year onto our books because we're resuming these services. And the machine actually can do more. We can do some things with cardiac and oncology applications. The other thing that represents hope for us now is that we spoke about our growth and said we're not just going to grow organically, but our inorganic growth strategy of selecting specific entities to actually acquire that we believe will make a difference to how we deliver service, broaden the footprint of that entity, and also increase our bottom line revenues. And so I'm happy to say that Dr. Verna Reed of the Women's Place started in 2006, and they're a well-established brand as it relates to the delivery of mammography services. They do other things. They do ultrasounds. They do something called bone densitometry. Don't ask me what it is, but one of these esteemed people can explain it to you. But what we find is that it is going to significantly build our brand in the area of mammograms. And we're happy to say that Dr. Reed also is going to be remaining with us and supporting as a reading radiologist. And of course, the very fact that she's with us, the brand presence will be built because the patients who have come to trust and love her will recognize that it's only bigger and better as we go forward. So we're very, very happy to have Dr. Reed accept our offer. We're doing the legal agreements now for the purchase of the assets, and we will give an update in the days to come when we talk about the integration and the impact, as you will see for you as a shareholder. As you can imagine, because the transaction is not yet complete, I wouldn't be able to give too many details about like revenue potential and scan count, etc. So 2 things so far that we feel very positive about. We think this is going to significantly help our mammo line to grow as our brand becomes more synonymous with offering mammograms. And then the other thing that is happening and very live is that our 33 LMR location is actually being built in a joint venture partnership with Ripton Real Estate Limited, who is using Ripton Contracting to do the construction. So this is what the pretty building at 33 LMR is going to look like. And just to honor the designer, we stated what his inspiration was, and you'll also find it in the annual report. And just in case you think that we're just talking and nothing is happening, we brought the picture to show you that something is happening. That's the day we actually did a short groundbreaking ceremony. Of course, we believe prayer is important in everything that we do, and to ensure that the project is being managed in your best interest, because none of us are contractors, etc. We have identified a project monitor in Shiloh Construction who started working for us effective the beginning of July and will be monitoring the construction. And to show you what's happening as we speak, The first picture was when they actually dug down and started to do the reinforcing walls, and the second picture is a little bit more of that. And the third picture is to show you that the basement, based on the approvals they have in hand, would have already been dug, and the foundation for the ground floor is being laid, and they will continue to build in keeping with their approvals. But it's live and direct, so we expect to move into this building in 2026. Remember now, that's where we're moving our 33A Winchester Road operations to. Okay, what else is there? Because there's more. So we actually have one other target who is a leader in not just one modality, but several modalities that we are in negotiations with that will widen our footprint in Jamaica in places that we aren't. So that conversation is occurring. We're doing our negotiations, and it's something that we hope to be able to share with you in the coming quarter. The other thing, as I said before, we're deepening our physician relationships. Remember, now we want to ensure that the referrals, whether public or private, are coming to us. And as it relates to our training, we did an extensive 5 modules of customer service training and just understanding the modalities so our team members can best guide our patients who are referred to us. And we are also doing training in, as I said, any new modality that comes on stream. We also decided to go electronic as it relates to our patient registration form. So when our patients come in, it's no longer filling out forms on a piece of paper, but we actually have it electronic on a tablet that's automatically uploaded to our main operating system, so that there's less paper use, less time spent scanning, less cost, of course, if you have the paper and just the time, because people cost time, right? If you don't have enough time, then you need more people, and we don't want to increase our admin expenses unless we absolutely have to. We are also looking at how we do our marketing to ensure that the word keeps spreading and that we go multiple times to our doctors and keep them front of mind, because the last thing we see is what we remember, right? And to close out, I just wanted to say that it's a lot of work that our team does on a daily basis, but it's important that we keep them motivated, not only to have good team spirit, but ensure that in our everyday actions, our values and our culture is manifested. And what that picture on the left with the lady in the pink shorts, that's actually the persons that in 2024, yes, 2023 we met them. 2024 they signed up and they actually sponsor mammograms for ladies in Jamaica. It's an overseas program, but they said that they're like our family and they would not leave on that occasion without taking a picture with the text. So they come and they've already, as we speak, paid for the services for next year in advance to ensure that they're going to do those 100 mammograms for those ladies in Jamaica. The other picture is when we thank you. Yes, we actually thank them on behalf of the people of Jamaica, ensure that they realize it's important work that they're doing. The other picture was at our Thanksgiving service when we were celebrating our 29th year on February 26th. And I just wanted to then say 2 other things on that. Our team grew rapidly, and I think it was when Dr. McDonough asked us for a sense or snapshot of where people are at. We realized that at least half of the team would have been persons who joined us 5 years or less, So it's important, the training is important. It's important for them to understand the culture and the values of the company, so that as we continue to build the brand, we don't water down what is expected of us in terms of service and care. Remember our CEO, customer empathy. And just to say that we've probably gone overboard in terms of gender parity, because we have so many more females than males, 70 females to our 14 males. And the people report is in a more fulsome form on pages 25 to 26 of the annual report. And as I close, again, to the purpose of what we do, I thought it was important to share the testimonials that were unsolicited from persons who experience both our MRI and mammo services. So on the left, we put the patient's initials with their permission because we didn't want to put their name. But the person, LH, said that the MRI was way better than they thought. Scary for a lot of people, but a simple thing of the headset with music was a plus. The person on the right was talking about their mammogram experience. Entire experience was smooth and reassuring. And the staff was kind and professional, walking her through each step and making sure she was comfortable. The procedure was quick. Mammograms are far less painful than I hear they were. And because I haven't experienced pain, but some people said it's a lot of pain, but they're far less painful. And it's important to highlight because a stigma why some people don't do screening, and it's an important screening. So we're happy that we're able to make the experience more enjoyable. And I wanted to just quickly share a testimonial that Dr. Rosemary Beecher that actually recorded for us. The tech people have to help me. I don't know what to press to make it go, but I thought hearing it in somebody else's words would be more meaningful than hearing me talk about it.
As a doctor, having access to reliable and high-quality imaging is essential for accurate diagnosis and effective treatment planning. Apex Radiology has been an invaluable partner in my practice, consistently providing detailed and precise reports. Their team of skilled radiologists and technicians provide the highest standard of care to patients. The administrative staff are pleasant and will go out of their way to assist in any way possible. I highly recommend Apex Radiology for their professionalism, expertise, and commitment to excellent service.
You want to just play the other one before I wrap? And then our team member, because we spend effort and time working and developing, and I wanted our team member, who is one of the radiographers who we train to actually deliver MRI services, just tell you a little bit about how he feels. You have the other one?
I enjoy the multidimensions of my profession and the flexibility it allows me. I pride myself on producing exceptional results when completing my job. It is a joy to know that in my line of work, I'm able to impart some hope to my patients, a listening ear, and leave a smile on their faces. Our vast team of supportive colleagues also contribute to the positive atmosphere in the workspace. Radiologists respect and aid our growth in knowledge, creating an ever-flourishing team. No one is left behind. To summarize, my time at Apex Radiology has been worthwhile, not excluding the challenging days. However, we always find ways to solve it.
Thank you to both persons who recorded for us their own words. So in summary, we know that 2025 may not have been what you anticipate in terms of revenue, but we take pride that despite the challenges, we were able to deliver 43.9 million in profit. More importantly, the future looks much brighter based on the things that are actually happening now. Nuclear medicine services will resume offering that. We actually have, I can't say concluded because we haven't signed the agreement yet, but we have Dr. Reed's acceptance of our offer for the purchase of the business that she so painstakingly built over the last 19 years. We're actively pursuing the other entity, which will expand our footprint. And we are looking forward the next time we're here next year to tell you that we moved into our 33 LMR location, which will allow us to offer services more comfortably to our patients and at 3A Winchester, and also allow us to offer more services because we can accommodate an MRI unit there, and we also can accommodate 2 interventional suites, which that's another big way that we see our revenue base expanding. So thank you so much, and we look forward to your questions.
Okay, thank you, Keisha, for that comprehensive and enlightening presentation. And I'm sure that everybody sees that the future remains bright. We are going to go straight into our question and answer segment so that we can have as many questions as possible answered and hear the thoughts and ideas that you wish to share. This segment will be moderated by Director Townsend. Please observe the protocols previously outlined. We will also address questions submitted prior to the meeting. For those in the room, please identify yourself as you rise to speak so we can continue to get to know each other better. Director Townsend.
Thank you, Chair. And so just following protocols, we're going to deal with the questions online first, and then we'll take the questions from the persons who are present in person. So the first question comes from Shelley P. Mammogram is the only service that has increased since 2024. What is the plan to address this? And that goes to you, Madam CEO.
Okay, thank you. So I think the question may be around the absolute scan count number. And I think how I would address it is that the ultrasounds remain consistent. Mammograms would grow because we're starting from a lower base. The MRI volumes would also have grown, so the shareholder may have missed that. Our CT numbers were down because we had one unit down, and nuclear medicine because we took it out of commission, but we're putting that back in. So shareholder should look to see nuclear medicine count increase, and the CT count should continue to grow because we're now have back on track one of the large referring partners, and we also are making inroads into getting referrals from private physicians. So I anticipate that they should see a growth this year compared to last year as the months go on.
All right. There was this question again from Shelley P. about the future plans for 129, but I think that was answered. That is where we're going to have our nuclear medicine modality, new SPECT modality there. So I think we had answered that one. Question from Elaine Wilson. The term acquisition was mentioned in the Q1 report. If this potential is true, which it is, what will be the avenue of financing for this acquisition? Okay,
so we have 3 options at least. So I don't want to preempt the board decision, but I'll just say what the 3 options are. So we do have the possibility, because our receivables have reduced and we do have cash in hand, as you'll see from the Q1 numbers, if we wanted to do a cash purchase. We actually also have the potential to finance it. And we also do all know that even if we finance in the short term, the third option is that the market cap has increased for junior market companies, so that could also be an avenue that we pursue. But our board will have to contemplate that.
All right. Thank you, Keisha. Another question from Shelley P. Can the paperwork be made available for patients to complete online at home?
Oh, I'm happy to say that what we're doing now is that when you make your appointment, we actually send the form for you that you can complete at home. That's one of the benefits of going electronic, and you can actually complete it at home and send it back to us either before or on the day that you come. And if you don't have a chance to do that, when you come in on our free Wi-Fi, you can complete on your device, or we give you a tablet to complete it on.
All right. Another question from Horace Mesado. Good morning. With the MOH obviously providing the services internally, Terra being the largest RHA, how significant will the impact on profitability be? Also, are you aware of any further actions on the part of the government to reduce dependence on third-party providers?
All right, I'll take the first one. So it's not, I think an assumption was made about the services being automatically provided by the hospitals, because if we think even for Terra, we have KPH with a functioning CT. We also have, I think, nowhere else. Bustamante doesn't have one. Chest Hospital doesn't have one. Spanish Town doesn't have one. So it's really one. So I think the focus that they have, again, my opinion, is that they would want to limit the amount of referrals from a cost perspective that go outside and only do the urgent ones. But what we see is all the patients who are not admitted that go to the hospital still have to come to a third-party provider. It's just a matter of the patient now paying for it themselves rather than it being paid for by the government. So as I was trying to explain when I presented that, we're going to see a shift in who is paying for the service as opposed to the need for the service going away. Could you remind me of the second part?
Oops, the question has disappeared.
Yeah, and I think also if the shareholder would have.
Sorry, the second part was what do we see as the impact of that shift on our.
I think we would have seen the impact in our fourth quarter. So what we're seeing now in the first quarter is a system stabilizing itself and people shifting how they have to. So like a recalibration. Thanks for the word, Dr. B. So like a recalibration and people now realizing that they actually going to have to pay out of pocket or find some other way to pay. And we do have some persons who have insurance and would have been able to use their insurance prior, but what was happening is that the form would have come saying that it's a full sponsorship. So I think the impact was seen in Q4. We're starting to see the shift with persons now paying for themselves.
All right, thank you. And keep that mic because we have a multi-part question from Omar Green. And at the back there, please don't push this question off because it's so many parts. Yeah. So the first part is, have strategies been implemented to combat growing outstanding receivables? A, receivables have gone up by almost 20%, and B, receivables greater than 3 months old have gone up over 100%. And that's just the first part of, this is about 7 different questions.
Let me answer that first part. So I'm happy to share with the shareholder our results that came out yesterday, because in that result you would have seen that our receivables at the end of the audit year were at 369.8 million, and at the end of the first quarter was 255 million. And I can confidently, as look at that screen, because it look like you're seeing something there. No. I can confidently say that even now, as at July, that figure of 255 million has gone down significantly. So our receivables have come down very nicely because a large payer is actually paying out what was owed.
Yeah. All right. Second part, Keyman Insurance decreased by 66% from 19 million to 6.6 million. What were the benefits of the 19 million coverage, and what are the repercussions of the new lower level of coverage?
Oh, that one I'm not actually prepared for.
Yeah.
I don't know if Marcia has that information at the top of her head. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
let me help you there,
thank
because I
you.
think I remember as well.
Yeah.
Is that this is not necessarily a reduction in the coverage, but that Keyman Insurance had a nice cash surrender value on it, and we cashed in some of that for use for cash flow.
Last
So that
year
was
when
the
the
reason.
cash flow would have been restrained.
Right. Yeah. So I think the coverage is still the same, but we just cashed in on some of that. Then the next part of the question, current and non-current liabilities remain the same. What are the other contributing factors that resulted in interest expense increasing 300% from 11 million to 35 million? So thus, what are the contributing factors that resulted in interest expense increasing 300% from 11 million to 35 million? I can answer that one. That would have been as a result of the increased debt that we took on to acquire the MRI and mammogram machines, and so we have seen the full impact of that last financial year. Have measures been implemented to rectify the impact of FX loss, given change year on year from 2 million to negative 200, so 2 million gain to a 200,000 loss?
Well, we would have had cash to have holding. So in the prior year, we would have had cash. You're talking about the cash in hand, right?
No, this is the FX loss.
Oh, the FX. Oh.
So I think that was the case, Marcia, that
Yeah,
we had some
the
stuff
cash.
denominated in
Yeah.
US dollars.
Yeah.
And so the exchange rate movements, you'd have seen
would have
that
impacted it,
happening.
and less as well, less cash.
Right. The next part of the question, what was the 2024 rate of return that resulted in the finance income of 11 million? So I think in 2024 we had, right, so in 2024 we would have had a lot of cash from the IPO that would have been invested. I mean, the accounting team can say what was the rates on those investments. And then, of course, subsequently that would have been used up to acquire the LMR property. So you wouldn't have seen as much finance income in 2025.
Right. Is there a way we could, if we have that email address, we could email the specific details of the response if they want the rate of return and that kind of thing?
Sure. Okay, because the other part of the question is, if favorable, this rate is favorable relative to cost of financing, Is this rate sustainable, et cetera, et cetera? I think we've answered that.
Yeah, and our
Yeah.
rate of our financing costs are very affordable.
Yes.
Sub 8.75% on all of them.
Right. Omar Green again. Have we established exactly how impactful 129 Pro's change in operations impacted the overall income, and was it ultimately a good decision? Could this process have been executed in a way that impacted revenue less?
So what we would have had to do to impact revenue less is two things. One, we would have had to procure a new CT unit, which last year, based on all the things that we are actually focused on and what we wanted to do, like nuclear medicine, to give it a bigger bang, and not using the full capacity with the reduction in referrals from Ministry of Health, it wouldn't have been wise to take cash or to use a loan to actually buy a new CT when you're not using all the capacity you have in Kingston. So rather we focus on nuclear because we know exactly what that would do, about 160 million at minimum per year. And so we decided to repurpose for that. We would have been constrained for at least a quarter, if not more, maybe 2 quarters last year with cash flow to actually be able to move ahead as we were dealing with the challenges faced. So I don't think we could have acted much faster. When we recognized we had the opportunity in Q4, we actually started the procurement process for the nuclear medicine unit, and it would have taken some time to come and commission.
All right. Thanks for that. Omar Green again. What specific actions are we taking to address the decrease in share value? Given the 50% decrease in valuation, how does the company correct this trend? And was the value of the stock overvalued initially? So it's a three-part question. What specific actions we're taking to deal with the decrease in the share value? How does that, what are we going to do to try and correct that trend? And was the stock originally overvalued?
You want to take the last question first?
I can take the last question.
And
No, the
others.
stock was not overvalued because that was at IPO. So at IPO it was fairly valued, if I may say so myself. But of course, subsequent to that, what would have seen, and I'll just help Kisha here, what would have seen subsequent to that is that
The
we
market.
are in a prolonged bear market, right? Pretty much every company that has listed since we listed, their stock price has gone down. And the vast majority of listed stocks, both on the junior and the main market, have seen a decline in their stock price, even when those companies' fundamentals suggest that the stock should be appreciating, right? So it's just really the bear market, and that stems from the fact, of course, that in a high interest rate environment, persons tend more towards fixed income instruments. So, if someone puts out a bond offer, as we've seen, it's generally oversubscribed in a matter of days, versus equities, right? Equities market has been very depressed. And so I think those are the things that are contributing to our stock price being down. In terms of what we are doing to correct, you'd have heard Kisha mention some of those, but to the extent, Kisha, you want to expand on that?
No, I think it actually is performance and give confidence to our shareholders. And I think that the majority of our shareholders have retained their shares just irrespective of the fact that the price is coming down. So we need to deliver performance, and we need to deliver returns. I'm sure that our shareholders are looking for some dividend in this financial year. So that's what we need to focus on.
All right. And then the last question online from Horace Mesado. There appears to be a significant number of providers in the market. Are you experiencing a downward pressure in pricing?
No, we haven't had any price pressure. And the truth of the matter is there are several people who perform diagnostic imaging, not necessarily more than there were before. I think there's only one person in the 5 years that I started has come out as brand new. People may expand the modality, but you don't find that anybody has a footprint like the one that we have, in terms of the number of locations and where, and the number of modalities that we have a redundancy for. So we have multiple locations with CT, multiple locations with ultrasound. So I think that all bodes well for us, and I don't anticipate that the competition will force us to have to change what we're doing. We're fairly priced now. In some services, we ensure that we're putting the care first and manage the pricing so that people can afford to pay.
All right, thank you. So now we'll take some questions from the physical audience. There's one has a question. Please approach the microphone, tell us your name, and then we'll take your question.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Marty Fennell. Now, I have a suggestion. No, I think I should thank you first of the performance, even though you were not able to pay a dividend. But I have a suggestion that's almost as good as a dividend.
Okay.
The market cap you mentioned,
Yes.
that's an option for you to increase to 700
50.
million.
750.
Okay. If you decide to take up that offer from the stock exchange, I think that you shouldn't rush to the public immediately. You should rush to the shareholders by doing a rights issue.
Okay.
So the shareholders would really appreciate a rights issue, you know, as a reward for a long patience and suffering.
All right.
Well, I'm not sure about the suffering, but I agree with the patience.
Well, yes, but that's a good. Thank you so much for that.
All right.
There must be something in those who believe from the beginning to the end, right? Agreed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nicola Borley. Thank you for your comprehensive overview and information. I noticed, however, that you said on page 44 there was a doubling of your electricity costs. When I looked at the financials, don't know if it's a doubling, but the figure was increased significantly. But you had not yet looked at solar. Is solar contemplated for 33 LMR?
So I think it would not be wise to answer definitively because we have not yet made a decision. But I think it's something that we have to take into consideration and work with the contractor to figure out which one of the services can go on solar. Because you'll find the solar can do definitely the regular office functioning, but as it relates to the equipment that uses
heavy power
three-phase, you
use,
may not
yeah.
be able to. But we definitely should look at some kind of hybrid solution. So we will take it under advisement and be able to update.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you.
Other question on page 97. Trade and other receivables. You have due from, no, that wasn't so bad. Sorry, mine. And somebody already asked about the trade receivables, and you said it's been coming down.
Yes.
But falling from that, your report said 30% of your revenue comes from Ministry of Health. However, there's a shift in how payments are now being done. However, you still seem to be concentrated, if I can use that word, on the referrals from the Ministry of Health and renewing some of your prior contracts with them. If you take Ministry of Health out of it, I know you have a number of initiatives to grow, but would that not impact you significantly? There could be other people who are vying for some of these connections with the Ministry of Health, so to speak.
So I think that's why I said if you look at our quarter 4 and compare it to our quarter 1, the quarter 1 that we just delivered at the 267 million is a much truer reflection of what we're able to do without that large partner, because the number of referrals would have reduced as persons now hearing, okay, I'm not going to get it for free, I have to pay for it, and adjust themselves between quarter 4 and this first quarter. So we do see the numbers growing from people now paying for themselves, the services for themselves.
Following on, however, receivables are coming down significantly because there was a big collection from the ministry. Is there any possibility of not making their payments so lumpy so that you have so many quarters with it outstanding for so long and then you have this big capital injection?
That's a great
not
question.
Not capital injection, but great payment.
It's a great question, and thank you for that, because it gives me the opportunity to explain. So the shift that they made last year was that everything would have been assessed by the Ministry of Health Central. So when a patient came from any hospital and we do the invoicing, it went to them, they would review, then pass it to the regions or the hospitals themselves to validate. Then they would have to pay centrally. So it wasn't a pay as you go. Now, with a decentralized system, they have given the regions their budget. So now the regions actually refer to us based on what the allocation is that they have. And they're better able to determine, when to step on the gas or pull back based on how much they have spent so far. And with the regions paying, you're not seeing one large payer trying to pay. So the different regions, the billing, and we're able to also deal with the regions and the regional leadership around where you are, what you have spent, etc. So I anticipate that it's going to be smoother based on how the changes in administration, and that we shouldn't have one large payer having to give us some. The receivables would have gone down because the regions who have used have paid, and then the ministry themselves from central for the things before decentralization
Right.
paid as well.
Okay, thanks. I have other questions, but I will concede to other persons.
It look like it's you still. Oh, a gentleman come in.
Sorry, Mr. Barnes, if you could just allow me to take one question from online, and then I'm going to come to you. And it's Alain Wilson. Does the nature of the business model will always see us with liquidity or cash flow issues?
I don't think so, because I think if you looked at our numbers before this large concentration, and I think it's a very good program. I just think the management of the program got a little out of hand in terms of how much they spent, and so I don't anticipate to see receivables being a major issue, or other larger payers like insurance companies settle within 2 to 3 weeks unless something is really off, or other patients pay by cash. So it's really just not allowing that receivables portfolio to grow so much, which I think will change because of how they have restructured the program. Yes, you're up.
Use this mic.
Oh, it's not. We're not hearing you. Hold on.
Yeah, Robert, man, shareholder. Checking on my Google Maps, I see that 33 Lady Musgrave Road is across the road from AC Marriott, where I have a Starbucks.
Yes.
Yes.
Therefore, patients that are shareholders should be able to get treated at Starbucks.
Or have a Starbucks downstairs.
Exactly. You have a big enough building, put one downstairs. On a serious note, I just started investing with Apex, with this company, and other companies in a similar business had serious problems with machines, especially MRIs. What are you doing to ensure your MRIs don't give any problems? And I see year to date, February 2024, there was no MRI, no income from MRI at all. Am I correct?
For this year, no.
Well, no, 2024. It said February 2024 on the graph. There was no income.
Oh, because we didn't have MRI. We had just started earning from MRI at the beginning of March of 2024.
But the year before, you had
No, we actually just put in the machine, and we did in the last week of February. We had done test patients to ensure everything was okay, but we didn't yet start charging.
So you have no problems with MRI?
No, we have no problems with it. We actually we built the location where it is housed to specification. We have proactive management of it from the service provider. We negotiated our warranty longer than the standard 1 year. We negotiated a warranty in excess of 2 years. And we actually ensure we're proactively doing maintenance work. So we're on a schedule with them, and we proactively do maintenance. So we have no issue with
And they're
MRI.
brand new machines.
Brand
not
new
used
machines.
like some other people
Correct,
have.
brand new
Right.
machines.
Yeah, right. Staff and training to maintain these machines. How about the turnover on those? Because I've heard other people saying that people disappear. They get trained, They get them from hard trust, I train them, send them overseas, and then
Okay, so
they
we have two
disappear.
levels of staff. So radiographers, which are the techs that operate the machines, we actually, I think in the 5 years that I've been here, one person migrated and one person was a mutual separation. And our radiographers feel good about working with us, they say, for two main reasons. One, the development opportunities that we offer them. So our techs, we have in the last year trained 2 of our techs to do MRI services. We have trained 4 of our techs to become sonographers that do ultrasounds, and we have trained 4 of our techs to do mammography. They have a clear path of development for themselves, and they're happy to work with us. And the other thing that they say is that the interface with our radiologists who are in office is priceless. A lot of other entities do a lot of remote. We try to have a balance and have our radiologists be in office at least 3 times per week. And that mentorship that they can offer, the radiographers can ask questions, etc. They learn a lot, and so they enjoy working for us. So we have no issue with attrition of our techs at all.
Well, that's a radiographer. I'm talking about like the maintenance of the machines.
Okay, so for the maintenance of the machines, we have, I think we are, maybe we're the first to have a dedicated team member, and we just expanded his team, that we do first level issue solving. So they will, if something goes wrong, able to troubleshoot, etc.
You get support from overseas.
And then we get support from the suppliers, because it's new machines and most of them are under warranty.
Right.
And what we're trying to do is have those overseas entities also give more than first level and do a second level support training to our own techs, and we're trying to negotiate for that, because that's not necessarily something that they offer.
I know sometimes you have to log in at midnight because the country are talking like Europe or so. It might be like 12 o'clock. So what I noticed also, you have a lot of doctors, mostly medical and some account, whatever, non-medical doctors on your team.
So no, we have it's about 15 reporting radiologists, but remember how they earn is not a salaried position, so they earn based on the studies that they read. A percentage of the studies is how they earn. So having a wider range just means that we have more persons when the capacity goes up that we can bring on board to actually do more reading for us. But there's no cost of having them. And we strategically go after, Dr. Bridgewater is very passionate about that, going after all the young new talents, so we have a good mixture.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Thank you for your questions.
All right, thank you. There are no other questions online. I was saying there are no other questions online. No need to get nervous. All right.
Good morning.
Good
morning. The name is Damian Austin, shareholder. I'd like to say I appreciate your fulsome presentation, very transparent. I do appreciate it. However, my question is on the closure of the Portmore branch. You said in 2014 you closed that branch and you give your cogent reasons. However, since that time is about 11 years now, and Portmore has been opened up, a whole lot of possibilities going on for Portmore. The question I'm asking, are you considering going back to Portmore?
No, we're not currently considering it, but I do agree with you about the potential. What we have to figure out is if the pattern of it being a dormitory community has changed significantly. What we saw in COVID, the 1 month that we actually didn't make a profit during COVID was when there was no movement for persons in St. Catherine. So you realize how many people come from St. Catherine to Kingston to get services. I think that Apex Radiology was before their time in going to Portmore, and that the dormitory nature of the community stopped the branch from really flourishing. We'd have to definitely look at different opening hours if we were to go back to Portmore. Right now, though, because the acquisition we're looking at a location that is actually up and running already somewhere else in Kingston that would be, in Jamaica, that would have a much greater immediate impact. I think after that acquisition, should it be successful as we desire, then the board would have to look and see whether or not Portmore would be able to hold its own.
Pleasant good morning, Lanzel Bloomfield here, shareholder.
Morning.
So we have a male person, so I'm not sure, Mr. Chairman or Madam Chair.
Madam
So
Chair, I'm just a moderator.
I just want to ensure that I'm following the proper protocols.
Sure.
So I have 4 quick questions, probably 3. Madam Chair, please give us some more insight into the service of nuclear medicine and what it does.
Right person, as one of 5 people so equipped in the entire island of Jamaica.
Okay, all right. So in a nutshell, nuclear medicine is another form of imaging of the body, right? And it uses radioactive substances that are linked to certain pharmaceuticals that when we inject that into the body, the radiopharmaceutical will then be taken up by the target organs that you want to study. So for instance, if we want to look at somebody's bones for spread of cancer, then we would use a particular radiopharmaceutical, inject that into the person, and then the distribution of where that substance goes will give us information on disease throughout the skeleton. Understand that?
Understood.
Good.
Next question. In 2024, for every dollar of revenue earned, 83 cents went to expense and 17 cents retained as profits. In 2025, for every dollar of revenue earned, 96 cents went to expense and only 4 cents retained as profits. What are the plans, therefore, to improve this situation?
We have to grow our revenue. So growing the revenue will reduce the ratio, but grow our revenue, and as it relates to our expenses, there'll be a lifetime where the expense finance costs will be there because we'll have paid back the loan for the major pieces of equipment after a particular period of time. Outside of that, we manage our direct costs, which is our reading fees and our inventory. We manage well our admin expenses. So it's really the impact of our financing and then the impact of depreciation on the new machines. So we really are going to improve our net bottom line position by growing our revenues.
Accepted. Are you able to train and retain sufficient personnel to man your maintenance department?
We believe so, and we don't think that we suffer. So the machines that went down, the nuclear medicine machine, I believe we didn't get it brand new back in 2006. It wasn't new. So if you think about it, it lasted us 18 years refurbished. We now have a brand new unit. The CT unit that we replaced in 2023 was refurbished. We have a brand new unit there. Our fluoroscopy unit is new. Our MRI is new. Our mammos are new. Our ultrasound equipment is less sensitive, so even though they're refurbished, they have a long life. So we don't see a significant impact from machine downtime. We continue to pray that the good Lord keeps it that way.
Okay. Last question. Page 76. You now have a healthy retained account of 612 million.
Yeah,
how soon will you restart paying out some healthy dividend?
Yes, I know. I know. Well, now that we're getting healthier cash flow, that's a more than fair question. And I think we have to sell you something in this financial year. I don't know why Director Townsend is looking at me. But it's a very fair question. And now that the cash flow position has improved and is continuing to improve, I think we should come and say something.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
That was the elephant in the room question, you know.
Yes, it was. Yes. The question everybody wants to ask, and
including me, I'm a shareholder too, you know.
Go ahead.
I wonder what is the standing of our company in the industry? How large are we? Do we have a major part of what's available?
What you find that because most entities are private, you don't have the details. But what if you ask me my personal opinion, I would say we're number one. I can't see anybody else that is close to us. There's one other private entity that we're not sure of, but based on their footprint and their location, they could be coming close. But I believe strongly that we are the number one.
Well, we can say definitively we are the number one public,
Listed?
number one listed imaging company.
Obviously,
Right?
obviously not merely being number one, but the question is, to what extent will we grow? And to what extent will, yes, the returns to shareholders also grow?
Yes, so to grow, that is why we decided that we wanted to pursue companies that were doing well in the field, either in a new field for us, like Mama, with what we've done with Women's Place, or a new footprint, which is the other one that we're currently pursuing, and ensuring that as the revenues grow, we grow efficiently with managing the other costs, and to ensure that in so doing we'll be able to deliver a better earning per share to all our shareholders.
Are you able to undertake anything that really pushes the growth?
We think the one that we have announced yesterday will do something for the growth in that modality, and the one that we're actually actively pursuing now will do something overall for the growth, because that's other entities in several modalities in locations where we are not. You know, we do believe that the market can benefit from consolidation. And at that point, when these two are finished, we will definitely, without a doubt, be number one, public or not public.
Well, let's look forward to the success of the activities.
Yes.
Because a lot of us think that the better we do, the better the health services will
Definitely.
advance.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, too.
Thank you very much. All right, we have 2 questions online, and we have a compliment. It was a discriminatory compliment, I must say, right? No, I'm just saying. Because this compliment from Shelley P says, all the ladies look so beautiful. Flawless skin, their glasses and haircut are all on point. Right? Dr. Lewis, nothing for us. I'm just saying. Right?
You're good accessories.
Yes. All right. A question from Aline Wilson. It's more like a comment, though, because pointing out that we actually own shares in a company that is an MRI business, and that business has not been profitable for us. And I guess what she's asking implicitly is, what are we doing about that, and so on and so forth.
That's a conversation that our board is currently having, is how I would answer.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to just leave it at that?
Yes, I think that's the best thing. No, but we'll definitely update should there be any development.
All right.
I think Elaine is a gentleman here. Director Townsend.
Sorry, say again?
Elaine is a gentleman.
Oh, he's a gentleman?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then a question from Steve McCullough. What is being done to develop the in-house skills to maintain the equipment? I think we've answered that already, but you could reiterate if you wanted to.
To maintain equipment?
Yeah, what is being done to develop the in-house skills to maintain equipment?
Okay, so whenever we get new pieces of equipment, there is some level of training that's done so that they can do first level troubleshooting. We're trying to explore getting some more training, but we don't have that in train now. And we'd also actively have maintenance contracts with the experts.
All right, great. Any other question from, yeah, please come up.
Let me find it here. In your report, newly published, you mentioned that during the quarter, 8.2 million in administrative expenses were reclassified to direct costs, and this has just been approved July 8th, hot off the press. So are we to expect a restatement of the prior year, given this, or it's just going forward? So that means we can't quite make a comparison between the years in the same way.
You want to answer, Marcy? Hold on.
And Marcia is our chief accountant, by the way.
No, just to let you know that the prior periods were restated to include those fees in the Q1 comparative period and in our financial year-end numbers that was published.
As
so
a
we
part of the
restated
report.
those direct costs to include those fees. And we
So
made a
it's
note.
restated in this AGM
In the
report?
Q1.
Oh, in the Q1.
Yes.
So Q1 going forward?
Yes.
Okay, all
All
right,
right.
thanks. Just something I'd like, well, kind of mention. Or let me back up and go to something else. Another shareholder asked about dividends, but when I heard all your initiatives going forward, I said to myself, a lot of capital expenditure, lots happening. Can't think I can see a dividend on the horizon. However, you've given me hope. Just like you have hope, I now have hope. So I just wanted to mention that because I see where you have a lot happening. So I'm glad that you have a project manager. Because if you didn't, I don't know how you would be managing all of everything going on.
Okay.
So,
Good point.
hopeful dividends, but I'm looking forward to the revenues improving, the metrics improving, so that we can get not just a little pittance of a dividend, but something that's meaningful.
So but you add, right? You're cumulative. So if you get a piece now and piece later, it's
Yeah,
still
we'll
add.
take that.
Okay.
But isn't that more administrative cost too?
Yeah, but you want to get what you have when you have it. You don't
Okay,
want
yeah,
to,
yeah. I won't stop you. I won't stop you. Check. There is a group, or not a group, two doctors who have this podcast or they post on YouTube, Limitless Podcast. Yeah, I think podcast. And I don't know if it was in relation to Image Plus or the other imaging company that's listed, but they mentioned something about, and I'm hoping that you're on the better side of this, the quality of the scans. It's not just a matter of fair price and location, but one of them mentioned something about it's not just you did the scan and it's ABC, but some people do the scan, it's ABC, but they include, I can't say it right, not all encompassing, but they include something more, some little meat to the matter that makes them want to use that particular service. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I think we're on the good side of that.
Okay.
So we get a lot of feedback from our referring doctors about the quality of our reports. Really, I don't know if Dr. B wants anything about that, but yeah, we get a lot of feedback positively about that. We actually also get in some cases images to rewrite a report based on the images produced. So,
Okay, well, work on your referring doctors. Over the last year, I've had a number of scans, examinations, whatever you want to call them, and I was never referred to you guys.
Okay, we will. Thank you for that.
But you should insist. As a shareholder, you should insist.
Well, the thing about it is the first doctor says, I know these people and I know the quality. I know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
That was one. Went back to that organization, and then the next time I was referred to another one. It wasn't up to me because it was all done electronically. So the doctor did it up, and by the time I got out of my seat, it was already sent. So I didn't have any say in the matter. And I remember asking about it because the retrieval of what the scan was different than the first one, which was anyhow. And I was told it was because of how they do it, I guess the quality. So I pass it on to you for whatever it may be worth.
Thank you, to ensure that we remain top of mind with all our doctors.
Yeah,
and I believe that when we move to 33, LMR will make a difference because we do have some people saying that at 3A Winchester, we've outgrown the location. And so, some doctors might say that a patient like you don't want to have to wait any time, so let them not send you to where you may have to wait a little longer.
Well, then I think you can also mark it that you can do the form from home, so it's less wait time because it's more time in traffic nowadays.
True. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Look like we're going to have to have you on speed dial for marketing support. So you can do a mystery shopper next time you go to the doctor and find out if they send you.
All right. Mr. Fennell, another question? Sure.
accidentally used Image Plus last month, and the service was very good. But what I really want to thank you for is a very good discount I got as a shareholder.
Yes, thank you for reminding us, 10%.
All right. Any other question from the physical audience? We don't have any other questions from the online shareholders. So, Madam Chair, I think it's back over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, moderator.
For an excellent job as usual. So I want to thank you, everyone who took part in the discussions. The board appreciates this interaction and communication with its shareholders. Every comment and perspective is important to us, and it helps us to reach our objectives at IPCL. Shareholders, we will now vote on the 4 ordinary resolutions listed in the notice of the meeting found on page 1 of the annual report. And for that, I will now hand over to our Deputy Chairman, Dr. Lewis, to take us through them.
All right, thank you, Chair. All right, shareholders, we will now raise and vote on the 4 ordinary resolutions as outlined in the notice of the annual general meeting, outlined on pages 1 and 2 of the annual report. I will read through each resolution, and at the end of each resolution, I will ask one shareholder to move to put the resolution to the meeting, and another shareholder to to second the motion. We will then tally the votes on screen, which will be displayed. Just a reminder, shareholders online, you will have 1 minute, is that correct? 1 minute to vote, following instructions as given earlier by Kerry. And those shareholders in the room will vote by a show of hands. All right, so our first resolution, to receive the reports of the directors and auditors and the audited accounts for the 12 months ended February 28, 2025, that the audited accounts and the reports of the directors and auditors for the year ended February 28, 2025, circulated with a notice convening the meeting, be and are hereby adopted. May I have a shareholder to move the motion? Remember to please state your name. All right, thank you, Mr. Ramcharan. Can I have a second to pass the motion, please? Thank you, Ms. Walker. All right, so those online, again, you have 1 minute to vote, and those in the room, by a show of hands, can we see those who are in favor of the resolution? Okay. All right, we got our count. All right, have our count. Okay, those. Okay, thank you. We know just. All right, so in matters concerning Resolution 1, I declare the resolution carried. Thank you. All right, so for Resolution 2, to reappoint directors retiring by rotation pursuant to Article 105, The directors retiring from office by rotation pursuant to Article 105 of the Company's Articles of Incorporation are directors Ms. Carolyn DaCosta, Mrs. Kisha Anderson, and Mr. Carl Townsend, who, being eligible, offer themselves for re-election. So Resolution 2A, that Ms. Carolyn DaCosta, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. We already have the motion moved, or do we have? No, can I have someone to? Okay. I don't have any vote for 2A. I have a vote for 2A. Only for 2B and 2C. All right, so I think I'll have. Can I have a shareholder in the room? Yes, sir. Can I state your name? Okay, thank you, sir. And for someone to second the motion, please. And your name? Mr. Shaw, thank you very much. All right, shareholders online, you now have 1 minute to vote. And for those in the room, a show of hands. Those in favor? Do we have the count? And for those against? Okay, thank you. Okay, in regarding matters concerning Resolution 2A, I declare the resolution as carried. All right, Resolution 2B, that Mrs. Kisha Anderson, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. That motion has already been raised by Elaine Wilson, so I just need someone to second the motion. Yes. Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so shareholders online, again, you have 1 minute to vote. And for those of us in the room, those in favor, show of hands, please. We have our count. Yes. All right, those against? Those against? Okay. Thank you. Okay, concerning matters for Resolution 2B, I declare the resolution carried. All right, next resolution, Resolution 2C, that Mr. Carl Townsend, who retires by rotation and is eligible for re-election, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. The motion has already been passed by by Ms. Roden. I just need someone to second the motion. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ellison. All right, online shareholders, you may now vote. And for those of us in the room, can I have a show of hands in favor? Okay, we have our tally. And for those against? Okay, thank you. All right, concerning matters for resolution 2C, I declare the resolution carried. All right, we move on to resolution 3, to appoint auditors and authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of auditors, that HLB Mayor Russell, Chartered Accountants, having agreed to continue in office as auditors, be and are hereby reappointed auditors of the company to hold office until the next annual general meeting at a remuneration to be fixed by the directors of the company. All right, so that motion has already been moved. So can I have somebody to second? All right, okay, thank you. All right, so we now have shareholders online. We have 60 seconds to vote. And for those in the room, can I see a show of hands for those in favor? All right, have our count. And for those against? All right, thank you. Okay, concerning matters for resolution 3, I declare the resolution carried. All right, for fourth and final resolution, to approve directors' remuneration, that the amount included in the audited accounts of the company for the year ended February 28, 2025, as remuneration for the services as directors be and is hereby approved. This resolution has already been moved by Mr. Wilson. So can I have someone to second the motion? All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so now shareholders, you have 60 seconds to vote. And for those in the space, can I see a show of hands for those in favor? All right, motion. And those against? Okay, thank you. Carl's voting for himself. Carl voting for himself. Okay, so in matters concerning Resolution 4, I declare the motion carried. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your participation. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude the 2025 AGM of IPCL, I wish to thank all those who participated. I thank you for your time, your attention, your assistance, your insight, and valuable contributions. To our esteemed chairman, our other board members, our CEO, management and accounting teams, we are thankful for your continued commitment, hard work, and dedication to the success of the company. Your decision-making, knowledge, and expertise in your individual fields have allowed us to meet and overcome our challenges for yet another year. To our wonderful team members, including our reporting radiologists, our radiographers, sonographers, our IT staff, supervisors, CSRs, and ancillary staff who are constantly on the front line delivering our services to our patients and referring doctors, we thank you for your continuing to provide excellent service with the care and compassion that we are known for and that keeps IPCL at the forefront and cutting edge of providing diagnostic imaging services in Jamaica. To our shareholders, a special thank you for your continued trust and support as we continue to commit to bringing increasing value to your investment while remaining true to our core values and our mission. I would also like to extend our gratitude to all our stakeholders and partners who have supported our achievements through various alliances. A very special thank you to our marketing team, to the teams of Affinity, M Squared, Amazing Events, So Simple Media, and of course the Terra Hotel for the coordination of yet another successful meeting. So before you all go, I'd like to invite you to enjoy the refreshments, mingle a little bit, relax, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.